Hello and welcome to Forming Algebraic Expressions Lesson 2 Answers. So at the end of last lesson, you were asked to answer some problems by drawing a bar model, with the focus being, could you draw a bar model to help you answer the question? Question 1 was about Annie baking some cookies, and in the morning she sells 6 cookies. And you were actually already given the bar model for this one, and you just had to fill in the gaps. In the afternoon, she sells 9 cookies. And then there are some cookies left over. So we need another part of the bar for the cookies that are left over, and there are 8 of those. The question then says, how many cookies did she bake? So that's the total, that's the full length of the bar. And we need to add 6, 9 and 8 to find what that total is. And the answer is 23. So Annie baked 23 cookies. Remember, the focus here is about the bar model. So you ought to have got an answer of 23, but if you haven't got the bar model drawn correctly, then you haven't got this answer correct. Question 2. Meg has 2 number cards, A and B. A is bigger than B. The sum of A and B is 100, and the difference between A and B is 24. What is the value of A? So this is a comparison bar model. We know that A is bigger than B, so that's got the bigger bar. And we know that the difference between A and B is 24, and that the sum is 100. So this curly bracket at the end here is showing that these 2 bars add to make 100. Now, what that tells us, this 24 here is telling us that if we were to section off this bar here, that would also be 24. And this bracket has appeared here because the question is find the value of A. And so I know that these 2 parts of A and then the full part of B must be the same. So to do my calculation, I can subtract 24 from the total, which leaves me with 76, and then divide what's left between these 2 equal parts here, which gives me 38. And then I know that the total for A must be 38 add 24, which is 62. So the value of A is 62. And again, I'm less interested in whether you got the answer 62 than whether you managed to draw out the bar model correctly, as you can see here. This is the skill that we're testing. Right, next question. In class 2, there are 18 boys and there are 13 girls in the class. How many more boys than girls are there in class 2? So this is a comparison bar model again, because we're asked how many more boys than girls. So 18 boys, 13 girls, the bars for boys and girls are there. And then the answer to the question is the gap in between them, the space between those lengths. So the calculation, 18 subtract 13, which is 5. So there are 5 more boys than girls in class 2. Question 2, Max had 6 bags of apples. Each bag had 5 apples. Max gives his friends 13 apples. How many apples does he have left? So this time I'm going to draw a bar that has 6 parts to it, and those are representing each of the bags of apples. And each bag has 5 apples. So I can now work out how many apples Max had in total. 5 lots of 6 is 30. And this actually then becomes a comparison bar model, because we're now comparing what he originally had with what he had after he gave the apples away. And this space, the gap between the lengths, is the number that he gave to his friends. So to calculate that then, 30 subtract 13 is 17. So Max has 17 apples left. Now, I'd fully expect you to get an answer of 17, but I'm more interested in the question, did you illustrate that correctly with a bar model? Okay, so moving on to questions where you weren't given the bar model structure. Eva has 20 counters, 6 of them are red, the rest are yellow. how many more yellow than red counters are there? So this is a comparison bar model again. Red, she's got 6 of. The rest are yellow. We don't know how many yellows there are, but we do know that both bars sum to make 20. We know it's a comparison bar model because we're asked about how many more yellow than red. So we are comparing yellow and red. So I can now work out how many yellows there are because I can do 20 subtract 6, which gives me 14. So I now know there are 14 yellows. And now I can work out what the gap between the lengths is by doing 14 subtract 6, which is 8. So there are 8 more yellow counters than red counters. Again, if you haven't drawn the bar model, you haven't got this answer correct. Question 2, a mug costs £12. A toy costs £5 less than the mug. How much does a mug and toy cost altogether? So again, this is going to be a comparison bar model because we've got the toy costing £5 less than the mug. So we're comparing their costs. And what we've been told is about the difference in their lengths there. So the mug's £12, the toy is £5 less. How much does it cost altogether? Now this is similar to the one that we did before because we can work out 12 subtract 5 is 7. So we now know that the toy costs £7, but the question was about the total cost. So now I can sum 12 and 7 to make 19, and the mug and the toy cost £19 altogether. Next question, a baker sold 93 more pies on Tuesday than Monday. She sold 55 fewer pies on Tuesday than on Wednesday. She sold 236 pies on Tuesday. How many pies did she sell in total? So this is slightly different because we have got 3 days. We've got Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. So first of all, if we take the first bit of information, the baker sold 93 more pies on Tuesday than Monday. So I know the difference between the bar for Monday and Tuesday is 93. Then the next part, she sold 55 fewer pies on Tuesday than on Wednesday. So my bar for Wednesday must be bigger, and the difference between the lengths of the bars must be 55. I'm then told she sold 236 pies on Tuesday. How many pies did she sell in total? So I can work out Monday's amount by doing 236 subtract 93, which gives me 143. And then I can work out Wednesday's amount by doing 236 add 55, which gives me 291. And finally, I can work out how many she sold altogether by adding the 3 up, and that gives me 670 pies in total. Finally, a shape is made of 3 rectangles. The total area of the shape is 150 centimetres squared. The area of rectangle A is 33 centimetres squared. Rectangle B is half the area of C. What is the area of rectangle C? So I think this one's a little more tricky than the previous ones. So I've got 3 different rectangles, A, B and C, and I know that they add in total to give me an area of 150 centimetres squared. I know the area of A is 33 centimetres squared, and then I know that the area of B is half the area of C. So we've drawn a bar for C, and we've cut that into half, and then B must be that same length. So what I'm going to do here is work out what the total for B and C have to be by subtracting what A is from the total. So 150 subtract 33 gives me 117. And then I know that these add to 117, and I know that what I've got is 3 equal sections. And so I can divide 117 by 3, If you remember your laws of divisibility, we know this is going to go in exactly to give us an integer answer, because 1 add 7 is 9. So I can do a bit of bus stop and work out that that is 39. And so each of those 3 sections is 39. And that means that the area of rectangle C is 2 lots of 39, which is 78. Quite a tricky question. And again, the point here is to be able to draw the bar model. So regardless of whether you've got the right answer or not, you have only got full marks for this question if you have successfully drawn the bar model, because that's the skill that we're going to be applying to algebra in the next lesson.